Welcome to Part the System, and today I'm with John Clark. How are you going, John?
Well, thanks. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, my pleasure. So a little bit about you. John is currently the CEO of Southeast Leisure, a newly formed leisure and recreation facility management company located in Dandenong, Victoria. Now, John is highly regarded as a leisure and recreation industry leader who places a strong emphasis on collaboration, community outcomes, and sustainability. Now, you've been knocking around for a while, John, I think about 17 years experience across a variety of roles, working for the YMCA Victoria, Virgin Active in the UK, the RACV, Belgravia Leisure, and you've spent around the last 5 years working in local government. So that's a broad range of experience there. But prior to joining this new role that you've got at Southeast Leisure, you had significant experience working across Sunshine and St Albans leisure centres, ultimately improving the operations and outcomes for the Brimbank community. Now, John has played a major role in the design and planning of the Brimbank Aquatic and Wellness Centre, and John has experience with successful establishment of new facilities, which has included the One Lifestyle Fitness Centre at the RACV in Torquay Resort and the Two Brook Memorial Pool in Cairns. Now, John, you've won many awards and you've got a really great track record. Some of those include the 2019 Aquatics and Recreation Victoria Facility Management of the Year Award, and also at the RAV, I think the Sustainability Award in 2019. But more uniquely, something that I'm really interested in learning a little bit more about is you cycled in 2011 over 24,000 kilometres from London to Melbourne to increase awareness of and raise funds to help fight child trafficking. So well done on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, excellent. And just on that, John, what inspired you to do that massive trip?
It's an interesting thing to talk about because it's coming up to 10 years since we rolled into Melbourne, literally just a matter of days. So the 24th of June was when we rolled into Federation Square. But funny enough, Dave, it was a time like many Aussies. I was in London knocking about with some buddies, and it was actually just, it came up as an idea of a fun way to get back home, to be completely honest. And it wasn't until much closer to doing the actual ride we sort of realised how big of a journey it was going to be, and we should do something good and raise, do it for a cause. And the four of us that did the ride knew very little about child trafficking at that point in time. But when it was brought to our attention as a very worthwhile cause, we thought, great. And then halfway through the ride, we're actually in India. We connected with the Australian government while we were there. They actually organised a visit to an orphanage there of kids that had previously been trafficked, and they were rehabilitating. And it was at that point where it hit us of just how important of an issue it is, and that what we're riding for. And then it's fair to say that was a turning point for us, and then it became something we became far more passionate about. So it's a really unique thing because most people are passionate about the cause and then do something to raise money for it. And for us, that passion developed during the ride. It was very much an idea that we thought was just going to be a lot of fun and an experience to try and get home that way. But by the end of it, we're absolutely advocates for that cause. And we went on to organise a couple of other charity bike rides, much smaller, albeit, in Cambodia, with some other people, and that helped as well in different areas. So yeah, look, a great memory now. 10 years has passed since then, and yeah, I'd love to do it again tomorrow. But life's different now. I've got kids and a job and things like that. So life's definitely changed, but yeah, certainly a great memory.
Yeah, great. And I think I agree. When you're riding for something or a cause bigger than yourself, you can actually, certainly get a bit extra out, can't you, in terms of output and energy and stuff. So yeah, well done. Massively.
100%. And well, you'll probably feel that way on Sunday, no doubt. On where you're doing the Ironman for a very, very good cause up in Cairns. So good on you, and best of luck for Sunday.
Yeah, thanks, John. And I suppose it's a really good place to start, but yeah, well-being, obviously it's talked a lot about at the moment. But what does well-being mean to you?
Yeah, look, good question. I think for me, it's about just having the necessities in life that everyone should have. It's about feeling safe. It's about being safe. Having access to good food, plenty of water, all those basic needs. I think that's the first step. And I think in my life, it's then that my family is all healthy and well, that I'm fit and healthy too, and I'm finding a good balance between work life and family life, and then pursuing my own interest as well. And I think that's well-being for me, both for mind and body.
Yeah, cool. And talk about balance there. So what are some of the things that you do to look after your well-being?
Well, as you
Apart
know,
from riding
yeah,
24,000 kilometers.
yeah. Well, I still ride, but much smaller distances now. But yeah, look, I do triathlon now. I grew up playing a lot of team sport, and when I sort of got into my 30s, I was pulling up a little bit sore after a game of soccer or footy, and so I transitioned into triathlon. I've done 3 full distance Ironman races, and I've got one coming up in October, actually in Hawaii, which I'm really excited about.
Wow. Did you
And
qualify for Hawaii then?
I did, yeah, from the Cairns race last year. So I think I've benefited, David, from a few races being cancelled thanks to COVID. So I think the qualification was a bit more generous this time around. So either way though, I took it. I took the spot, and I'll be racing in October in Hawaii. So obviously work's fairly demanding, especially at the moment. I've got
Yeah.
2 young kids. I've got a 4-year-old, a 1-year-old. Obviously my wife's a superstar and helps a lot in home life, but I still make time for myself, which I think is really important. So there's a few early starts. I've got a bike set up at home, so often, it's a 5 a.m. start. It's a 1-hour ride in the morning, and then off to work and play with the kids when I get home, and maybe sneak in a run after they've gone to bed and things like that. But I make sure it's part of my life still. And I think if I wasn't doing that, I would be pretty grumpy. I wouldn't be as happy as what I am if I didn't have that exercise and other focus in my life away from work and family.
Yeah, I hear you. And it's great that you kind of fit it in wherever you can, knowing that, physical activity gives you all these, benefits to make you well-being. And we'll get into a bit more about Southeast Leisure in a bit. But where does this passion for you, John, come from in terms of supporting communities through health and wellness? And yeah, tell us a little bit about your story.
Yeah, sure. It's interesting because if I think back to when I joined the industry or came part of it, it was very much like a lot of the staff that we recruit now into the team. It was a part-time job while I was studying. I worked as a customer service officer at Darebin Community Sports Stadium. And if I think back to that first job, it was immediate affection with the industry. I've enjoyed going to work because there was so much variety. It was a positive place to be. People were coming into that facility to do something that they enjoyed. And as I've moved on, and you sort of mentioned before, I've worked at a few different companies, and then within those companies, a few different facilities as well. And it's almost no matter what facility you're working at, it's very similar. People are choosing to go into that facility to do something that they know they will get enjoyment out of. And it probably that enjoyment is probably what drives them in more than just knowing that they're doing something for their health and well-being as well. And I think that makes it a pretty positive place to be. I think also the people that I've worked with and the teams I've been a part of have been incredibly fun. So it's generally a fun place to work, and I think that's great for young people. But even now, as more of a senior leader, I still enjoy having a fun workplace, and I think the industry gives you that. And so I think that's where my passion for working in the industry has come. I think in terms of supporting the community, I think that's just developed with me in time, and as I've come to understand the true benefits of these facilities and understanding the benefit they have on the community. So early on, it was just about just seeing kids enjoy themselves or adults enjoy themselves doing a range of activities. And now I'm understanding more the full picture of the health benefits and that social impact that we have. And that's driving my passion now, to work with other people in the industry and to collaborate and to learn from one another, just so we can all improve and grow what we do as an industry.
Yeah, cool. I liked it that you explained, you just kind of got into it, and and it's kind of just developed from, that initial first job that you had in that leisure center. And I suppose the fun part of it and culture kind of is really important for you in terms of the workplace, and having having a good time, but having a job with purpose. And that kind of comes back to well-being, doesn't it? But I do find that we're very lucky, aren't we, to work within health and leisure, and most people come to work not just because they enjoy it, but because of that purpose side as well.
Oh, 100%, 100%. And there's not many industries where you can come in, and if I think back, I started as customer service, but I've had experience being a pool lifeguard, a duty manager, a salesperson, a gym instructor, a PT, group fit. I've really sort of experienced all these different jobs, but working within the same workplace. And there's not many places that can occur. So I think it provides a young person, or any person for that matter, just an opportunity to experience so many different things. But particularly for young people as well, it's I think I was sort of 20, 21, and you're a duty manager, and you've got this level of responsibility that you've never had before. And I think that's pretty special. And it's great now when I see young people have these opportunities in our workplace. Just how much they grow and develop from having that level of responsibility. So I think that's pretty cool. And I also think for staff now that join the team, no matter what their role is, understanding that they are part of that purpose, and that brings a lot more value to going to work. That knowing that because you're lifeguarding that pool, we can open it, and because that pool's open, 100 people can come through that day and do their rehabilitation. So I think for all staff, understanding that they're contributing to that community, that benefit for the community, is really valuable. And I think we can keep doing that better, to making sure all people feel that they're contributing to that overall vision and purpose. But it's they certainly are, and they certainly will continue to do so.
Yeah, and it's huge, isn't it? That responsibility you talk about. 21 years old, you're a duty manager, managing operations of an aquatic center, which is like so complex, life-threatening environment, customers, contracts with councils, and it's there's opportunity there, isn't there, as well, from what you say, for that pathway to develop as well. And with the experience that you've had then, John, obviously, with the YMCA, Belgravia, I think even Virgin Active in the UK, and a few others. And now, you've been working at councils, and now you're, with the CEO of Southeast Leisure, and kind of bringing all that together, from all those different workplaces. With this new kind of entity that's been set up, which is really exciting, a newly formed subsidiary company, I think, for the city of Greater Dandenong, and you'll have the responsibility of 4 facilities, 4 aquatics and leisure facilities, which I think is starting the 1st of July, or it's very, very soon. Tell us a bit about that, and I'd love to know a bit more about the structure and where you're at with it all.
Yeah, sure. Well, yeah, look, we've got 3 weeks, 3 weeks to go until we begin operating, and it's both nerve-wracking and very, very exciting. Yeah, look, we're chomping at the bit just to start operating. If
Just to
I'm
open the doors. Yeah.
yeah, completely honest. And look, the facilities are operating now by third party management groups, and a majority of those staff and staff teams within those sites are coming across to work for Southeast Leisure. And look, I think one of the things I'm most excited about is I've gone down, I've met a lot of them now, and they love it. They love the facilities. They love working in this community, and I can't wait to engage with them further and start learning from them around the intricacies of the sites and what they know about our members and the community and things like that. So that's something that's really exciting. But in terms of the actual model itself, it is a subsidiary company. So the council here had a review of the management model of their these 4 facilities in particular. 3 of them are currently managed by one group, and then the large basketball stadium, large Dandenong Stadium is managed by another group. And so there's an opportunity there to bring all 4 under one umbrella, if you like, and that will obviously have efficiencies in that from an operating point of view. There's also an opportunity for Southeast Leisure to have that really strong alignment with council's vision and plans. So they've done a lot of work in this space around their aquatic strategy, their Make Your Move physical activity strategy, as well as their council plan as well. And there's a whole schedule of investment coming up for these sites. They're replacing Dandenong Oasis with the Dandenong Wellbeing Centre, which will be around an $80 million investment, almost an unprecedented level of focus on community health and wellbeing in terms of leisure centre design. There's Noble Park Aquatic Centre. It's currently having a gym built. It's about a $6 million project. So that facility, that health club addition to that existing aquatic centre will open towards the end of the year. So with that level of investment, this model allows council to have far more engagement and control in terms of what's happening at the sites and having their finger on the pulse. And also just from an asset management point of view as well, essentially Southeast Leisure will have the opportunity to reinvest surplus funds back into the management of the assets, which will ultimately improve the assets and the experience for the community, and hopefully encourage more people to be more active within Dandenong. So I think beyond the core business of managing these facilities and delivering programs, the other big piece will be working really closely with council and other stakeholders within the community to go out and engage as well. So we want to have a presence running the facilities, but also just a presence out in the community as well, as someone that is really passionate around community health and wellbeing, and I'm really passionate about getting more people active in the community.
Love that. And it sounds like, in my words, you're kind of breaking those barriers down and going into the community as well. So it's not just about the facilities. So it's a bit of a hybrid model there, where you'll be active with outreach as well.
Oh, 100%, 100%. And I think what's been really evident in Dandenong in particular, and it happens in a lot of communities, but in Dandenong, there's very alarming high rates of physical inactivity. And so it's well known that we need to get more people in this community active for their own well-being. So, we might touch on it later, but I think those people in the community, they might not even realize there are leisure centres. So it might be the first part of the problem of just that awareness piece that they need to understand what is actually available to them just down the road. But we're really looking forward to engaging with the community, and we're investing in that area with members of our team that will be employed specifically to go out and engage with the community, identify what the actual barriers are. Is it communication? Is it that people just don't understand what's actually available, or is it that we're missing the point and we're not delivering the right programs at the moment? So we want to find out, and we'll do that work to really identify barriers and hopefully break them down.
And you talk about some of those populations within the Dandenong kind of area, and lower rates of physical activity, probably higher chronic disease, etc. How, as you as the leader and with your team, and I'd be interested to know what type of team members are going to go out into the community. But how can we get more people active from hard to reach, hardly reached, and underserved communities?
Yeah. Well, look, it's a huge challenge, as you'd know, David. But
Yeah.
I think there's not one size fits all approach. But how we're right now looking at it is we want to engage. We have already gone through a process of identifying what groups exist within our community, established groups, and whether they're large formal groups or just very small informal groups.
Yeah.
And our plan is to reach out, meet, workshop, find out why they're not using the facilities now. What would it be that would actually attract them into the facility? And then hopefully there's somewhere in the middle that we can work with these range of groups to create new programs, or I mentioned around there's a lot of facility improvements. Is it facility design and things like that can actually help make people feel more comfortable at coming into our facilities to start being more physically active? Or is do the programs actually need to go to them, and do we need to start facilitating programs in where they already meet now? So look, I don't have the answers yet, but certainly on our long list of to-dos, and it's right at the top.
I think that's a really well answered, way of going about it, John, because like you said, it's not one size fits all, is it? And listening to the community and meeting them where they are, I think is part of it, isn't it? And learning. So but super exciting for you. And I can see why you just want to get going as quickly as you can.
Oh, 100%, 100%. And look, I started September last year. I didn't have anyone in my team until January, and then it's been a trickle since then. There's still sort of only eight people in our team now, and that will certainly ramp up in the next couple of weeks, and then obviously from July we'll have about 150. So, with more feet on the ground, we'll be doing a lot more. And this is what I'm talking about. Right now, we've been so focused on getting our systems in place, getting just everything. You just, once you actually break it down in terms of what you need in place to run a company, it's quite incredible. And we had nothing to start with, and we've been working very quickly and hard to get everything in place. But really, where the team come from and what the team's really passionate about is operating these facilities and delivering these programs. And we'll get there in 3 weeks' time, and then we'll really start making an impact.
And will you have specific officers that will go out and work in the community? Like what will they be called? Are they community development officers, sports development officers, or what's that structure look like?
Yeah, so initially, and we're recruiting at the moment for a community liaison and program manager, and that person will be key to a lot of our community engagement work. We'll also tie in with the sport and rec and community teams at council as well, and work closely with them. But what our hope is internally is that area of our business grows substantially, and that manager then can build a team to help further engage and deliver a lot of the programs that are developed. But that's the role initially, and they'll also be seeking everything from grant opportunities, program development, engagement, facility design, looking at access and inclusion as well within our site. So it's a really broad role. And look, we've actually been advertising for quite some time, and there's sort of it's quite a niche, I suppose, in the industry, and I think it's certainly growing. Most facilities are introducing roles like this now, which is great. I know ARV did a lot of work over COVID in this space, particularly access and inclusion, which is great. So there's some really good resources available now for the industry to access. But look, I think, like I said before, there's not one size fits all. I think the key is getting to know your specific community within the catchment of the facility, and identifying what the exact barriers are. Is it that there's not a bus route that goes past your facility? Is it affordability? Is it that people feel uncomfortable or unsafe, coming to and from? You just don't know until you go out and talk to people, and that's what we're about to start doing.
Yeah, awesome. And you touched on physical activity levels before, and there's high levels of inactivity, if you will, in Dandenong. Will Southeast Leisure be monitoring physical activity levels of participants? Is that something that of people coming through the doors, is that something that you would look at in terms of that social value? Because I think we've talked about before, John, we around attendances and swim school members and fitness, etc. But yeah, would that be something that you guys would look at?
100%, 100%. It's probably something where the industry is moving, which is great. But it was certainly a pet hate of mine for a number of years, where all we really talked about when we got together was what's the facility costing to run and how many visits did you have through the door, and it didn't go really any deeper than that. I think now the language is starting to change, and people are starting to talk about what was your social impact. And I think the likes of Active Exchange are doing some really good work in that space, and they're someone we're going to be working with initially, and we'll certainly be reporting on that social impact and value that we're having. So that will be part of what we do. We'll also work with council, so they will continue to do their work in that space around physical activity, and we really hope that Southeast Leisure and the programs that we develop and how we operate their facilities, that we can have an impact on those numbers and see the needle start shifting in the right direction.
Yeah, I was at the Aquatic and Recreation New South Wales conference last week, and as an industry, what we were talking about is that if there was one thing that we could do collectively, it would be to to better understand members or casual members, like what's their physical activity levels. And I'm just thinking, if you just as a new company to start off with kind of reporting on that, are people meeting at 150 minutes of exercise a week would be really cool. Yeah. And with chronic disease, so we've touched on it, and as you know, John, 1 in 2 people have got a chronic disease, and it's getting worse. I think about 25% of people have got 2 chronic diseases. So yeah, if we could nudge the system in one way, what would that be for you?
It's alarming, isn't it, when you say that? Look, I think for me, and I know you sort of prompted that one beforehand in particular to have a think about, and what I look back on was just the last 2 years, and I think if we could nudge the perception of our industry, that would be it. To think that gyms and leisure centres as a whole, swimming pools, were quite often the first things to close when there was a lockdown, and then unfortunately we're also probably one of the last things to reopen as well.
We kept pubs open though.
Yeah, well, we won't go into that. I think strip clubs were open before gyms at one point, which was really upsetting. But I think that just tells us a lot of things, is that we're not getting viewed as something that's benefiting health, or we're not a necessity right now in the eyes of decision makers, which is incredibly alarming. And so I think that perception needs to shift. We saw Fitness Australia rebadged to Oz Active, which I think is really cool, that they're starting to talk about being active. And I think we're not just a fitness centre. I think that's pretty old school. We're not just a place people come to pump iron and sweat. We're facilities that people come every day to do rehabilitation, to just walk in water, and so just to think that was sort of shut down so quickly and then took so long to reopen, and look, I don't know the exact stats, but I can only imagine that's been detrimental to a lot of people's health and well-being during that time. So I think if we could just nudge one thing, that would be it. And I think it will happen, but probably too slowly. That our facilities are considered part of the health system rather than just part of a recreational activity that you go and do on an ad hoc basis. It needs to be viewed more that it's a necessary health facility that needs to operate at all times for the benefit of the community.
Great, and I couldn't agree more with you in terms of that little flick to more health than just leisure. I think terminology is so important, isn't it? And even with the some of the facilities you mentioned earlier on, John, this pivot to wellbeing, is really interesting, and I think we're kind of moving in the industry. And this brings us to our last question around a bit more about you personally, John. So, yeah, where do you see yourself in the system, and how do you contribute and influence it?
Yeah, look, good question. Look, I think in the professional capacity with Southeast Leisure, we're very much a provider. I view us as a provider, and in the sense of the word, from that health aspect, that we need to provide the right programs, and we also need to provide clean, safe, welcoming facilities to attract all members of the community into them. And so I see that as our key priority and how we can help. From an individual perspective, I attend industry committee through AIV, who do a great job with their industry committees for, if people aren't involved with them, I highly encourage people getting involved in a committee there. But I sit on the local government managers committee. And as a group, we're only one of the new committees, but some of the projects that we've already started talking about working on together, I think is pretty special. So that's certainly a space that I'll continue on. We're just starting a project at the moment looking at affordability of leisure centres and trying to look across the industry, because we all recognise when you do some benchmarking, we've all got these different prices, different concession levels. Different people get different concessions. So just looking at that holistically of a bit of benchmarking, but then also trying to identify at what level is appropriate, and actually engaging with different communities to try and work out from an affordability piece where the industry is at. So I think through those projects in that committee group, I'll hopefully try and have some influence. But look, more so the focus really for me is the Dandenong and making sure Southeast Leisure successfully starts operating on the 1st of July. That's I'm not thinking about too much else, if I'm completely honest right now. We've got 3 weeks and really just want to open the doors and make sure we're providing clean and safe facilities for our staff and our community on day one. That's my absolute priority right now. And maybe in six months' time, if we had another chat, it'll be even more exciting about some of our focuses.
Well, that sounds like an invitation, so I'd love to do that if that's okay with you. But I'd love to bottle what you have, John, because you very relaxed, and you speak really well, and you're very highly regarded within the industry. And I think that just shows from the amount, all these committees, and some of the awards that you've picked up in previously. But it's so exciting to see this new company, and and you're really looking at the community and the impact that you can have in the greater Dandenong area. So and I love the fact that you're talking about subsidized programs maybe for certain groups, and just trying to get more people active within the facilities and the community. So yeah, just wish you all the best for the rundown with 3 weeks. Just one more question. How practically does it work then with you leading into it? Do you just, which site will you be at on the first day? Or are you keeping that one up your sleeve?
Yeah.
All of them.
Look, I think we're sort of ruffling to spread ourselves across the sites as the senior leadership group. But Yeah, look, the YMCA operate 3 of the sites now. They're sort of closing the doors at midday. So we've obviously had to communicate that to the community and the members. So they'll close it at midday, and then we'll literally set up our point of sale. We'll put our stock in. We'll, rebadge the place, all that sort of stuff across the 3 sites. And then Dandenong Stadium will be sort of probably an overnighter, maybe a very early start on the 1st of July to make sure we're ready for Friday night rep basketball on the Friday. So it's look, it will just be one of those occasions where you just need to make it happen. It will probably take me back to opening Tobruk Memorial Pool when I worked for Belgravia, and I think for 2 hours of the day I was frying hot chips just because I had to. That was the thing where I could help the most at the time. So I was wearing my nice shirt and things like that. I thought it was going to be a real fancy day, but I was cooking hot chips. We had Brooke Hanson there selling hot chips over the counter. It was classic, but it was just, a lot of people could resonate with that first day action and experience, and that will be like that across definitely the 3 sites, and then Dandenong Stadium just a few hours later.
Yeah, and such a privilege, isn't it, to kind of reopen these sites, and something you'll always remember, I'm sure. So excellent. Is there anything else that you'd like to add? Anything that you've missed?
Look, not really. Just I'm going to wish you all the best for Sunday. I know. Well, you obviously did it last year too, but look, I think what you're doing with Tim is just an incredible thing, and I wish you both the best of luck. And look, I'm sure you'll get through it, and just keep believing in yourself, and just never give up. You'll make it. So best of luck.
Thanks, John. And good luck on the 1st of July, and I'll catch up with you soon.
Sounds great. Cheers.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.